Drake mercilessly roasted for fake six-pack abs, arms, and chest sold separately. Exactly. How is that a flex?
God damn. Drake, say it ain't so, baby. You're not over here etching, sketching the abs, are you? Listen, you can do whatever you want with your money, all right? You've accumulated a lot of value, a lot of success within your life. But there's certain actions that it's just hard for me to try to defend, man. I've been an active fan of yours since 2008. What? You know, what? That was like 2007. I was like 19 or something like that back then. Nevertheless, been an active fan. You know what I mean? And Drake has suffered some considerable L's over the past, year and a half, 2 years or something like that. The fall from grace after the Drake beef. He's made some odd mistakes after that. It seems like prior to that in his career, he's turned so many potential L's into absolute W's. And his movement after the Kendrick stuff just seems to be a little bit odd. One of the things that came of that beef was BBL Drizzy. And to think that he's now posting photos with potentially fake abs is just indefensible. But I wanted to be able to talk about this, especially as we think about body dysmorphia, as we think about, masculinity within modern times today. What is outside of the boundaries? What is going too far? So we're going to take a look at one of my favorite fitness YouTubers, Coach Greg Doucette. I've been watching this brother's channel for years now, and he's an expert in bodybuilding. He's an expert in body dysmorphia. He's an expert in male supplementation, vitamins. He has his own supplements. He's just an expert in everything fitness, and he has a particular opinion over Drake's now viral photo, his selfie, I suppose, of his newfound abs. So let's get into Greg Doucette's content, and I want to commentate on top of it. Without further ado.
Hey guys, Snap. I just got a BBL tummy tuck mommy makeover, and now you can see my abdominals.
A BBL mommy tuck makeover is
Coach
wild
Greg, and in
disrespectful.
today's video, Drake thinks we're all morons. He thinks that we're idiots. He shows a photo of himself with the glaring six-pack. He looks like an old He-Man or perhaps a G.I. Joe figurine. And get this, I'm going to read what he says. I'm wide awake for the nights that separate the type of guy to get it till they get it right from the type who just type.
Wow.
And so basically, is bro just trying to brag? Is this a flex? He's flexing his abs saying, hey, I put in the work. I'm not the type of guy that just types about shit. I go and get it done. And so if by getting it done, he's referring to surgeries where you suck out the fat between the abdominals, essentially a BBL for your abs, then yeah, you're the type who gets it done.
The most craziest thing about this entire photo right here, even outside of the abs, is that it appears to be liquor bottles down there. So while saying that you do more than average in order to achieve whatever it is that you're achieving, while also showing the ab picture, while also showing liquor bottles, like you could still drink and achieve a physique like this, is absolutely diabolical and damn near indefensible. Now, there's some people out there that's going to be saying, well, what if he did put in the work to get this naturally? There's some key evidence here that Coach Greg is going to go over, but if you take a look at everything else on his body, which is normal looking, and then compare it to abs like this, his whole body would be a lot more etched, but it's not. Let's keep going.
A BBL for your abs, then yeah, you're the type who gets it done. But if you're trying to make it look like you put in the work, that you dieted, that you trained, you did your cardio, you did your crunches, we don't believe you. And so you're thinking, well, where's the proof? Okay, well, let's examine the abs.
When you go to the gym, your whole body goes to the gym, dude, not just your abs.
And so if you only look at his abdominals, the six-pack, you're thinking, well, that actually looks kind of legit. It seems possible. The problem is, when you have abs that defined, the rest of your body also has some kind of definition. Drake, who for the most part appears to have 20 to 25% body fat, would not be possible, well, perhaps 1 in a million, Then he would have abdominals looking like that, but would not have striations in the delts, perhaps a bicep vein, some chest striations. Very unlikely that he did it while being natural. But let's really hone in on his obliques. Does anyone notice that there's a hole on the side of his obliques? Why is there a hole? Your obliques are right here to the side. Why is there something missing? A gap. Kind of like you have a gap in your teeth and there's a hole and it's like, why is there no white right there? Why is there a glaring hole? And so if you look at the old G.I. Joe figurines, He-Man and so on, it kind of looks like that. Let's see a photo of Drake in the past. Now, look at his abdominals. You don't suddenly target the fat loss from your abs. He has not lost a significant amount of body fat from that period of time until now. And so why is he so much leaner in the abdominals, but not as lean everywhere else? I mean, does he not look like a Hulk Hogan figurine? I mean, look at this guy. It's just simply too fake. We have Rick Ross calling him out saying, bro, is this the second time you're going through this operation? You had fake abs last year. And so the only person that seems to be defending him is Nick Trilogy from Bodybuilding and BS. He's saying, hey, he's proud of his abs and I don't care where he got them. He should be showing them off.
He looks awesome.
But here's the thing. The reason we respect abs as men is because we know how hard it is to get them. We know the amount of work that you put in. It's one thing to use Ozempic or a GLP, retatrutide, and so on. And it's another thing to simply suck out the fat. If you're taking a peptide to make you reduce your appetite, you're still perhaps putting in the work, you're doing your cardio, you're lifting weights, and so on. And the entirety of your physique, it's going to look better. To me, using a GLP like Ozempic and so on, it's not much different than someone who decides to use steroids, SARMs, peptides, IGF, MK, all of that stuff. You're using something foreign to the body to help you to reach your goals. And so whether you decide to do that or not, well, if it's legal, it's on you. But you're not going to get the same level of respect from other men if they know you got your physique through cosmetic enhancements.
Right.
Even Phil Heath said, look, I'll train you. This is not how you do it. If you just get surgery to improve your abdominals, but you don't improve the rest of your body, it doesn't look good.
This sort of reminds me of, you guys ever see the IG videos of the dudes who inject all of the synthol or the oil like into like their shoulders or their biceps or something like that, and they walk around and it's like, first you look at them and you're like, damn, the human body is incredible because it stretches out for whatever it is that they're putting in, but it's just odd. It just points to mental illness because they're so oblong shaped and deeply disproportioned. So when I look at this photo with Drake, I'm seeing somebody who is deeply disproportioned and perhaps is suffering through some type of dysmorphic condition. And listen, I get it. In order to be a high earning, high achieving, value driven man, it takes a lot of time in the gym. And oftentimes I even find on myself, I am sacrificing gym time in order for work time, in order to get things done. And even after getting all these things done, it is so effort filled to continue on going to the gym in some of these days and some of these occasions. But what Coach Greg brings up, this layer of respect, how men respect you, I think is such a fantastic point, right? Because there's different layers to this shit. There's the old natural, and then there's the layer of like vitamins, right? Different types of supplementation, let's say like creatine. Supplementation are things that can naturally be occurring in your body, but through age or through stress, high levels of cortisol, through these different avenues, maybe you have a lower amount of this, right? Less vitamin D because you can't go outside as much, that you're going to take supplementations in order to try to enhance yourself. But then there's another level too, which is utilizing products that do not naturally occur within your body, SARMs, steroids, things like that. There are some people that will take like Ozempic for fat loss, even though there's not been conclusive studies into what that stuff is going to be doing for you. And some of that's coming to bite people in the ass now. And then the other layer of like the highest layer of disrespect is just getting ish cut up out of you. This is a similar argument to like when you ask women, like, is that your real hair? And then they said, well, I bought it, so it's mine. And because it's so normalized within our culture with women, a lot of people don't really have a lot to say. But that's why we need conversations about this with men, because if people like Drake is just doing this shit, there could be an upcoming epidemic of men just cutting the goddamn line to get their bodies cut up. Let's go.
He hit me up and was like, hey, What's it gonna take to meet up here and there and go over everything? Not a problem.
The body, it's about looking aesthetic. It's about balance, symmetry, harmony between body parts. If you have amazing abs and everything else looks like garbage, well, it doesn't look all that good. How is this any different than the females who are getting the BBLs? The world has been calling out Drake saying, this looks bad. This is embarrassing. You don't have the self-awareness to understand that you're a joke. This is embarrassing. To the same extent, it's very comparable to females who get those massive BBLs. They have huge booties, but they have stig legs to go along with it. And so it doesn't look right. It looks fake. Add to that the fake lips. Looks like they have a pair of hot dogs on their faces. And people just don't like that. And so women are thinking, no, but men, they like a big booty. Yeah, they do. Not denying it. But not when it's fake like that. And so if you get that ass from an implant or a BBL, it's not going to have the same impact as if you got it through hard work.
Let me just correct a little bit of what Coach Greg just said. Yeah, men they do like that BBL aesthetic, but it depends on the goal of that girl. If the BBL aesthetic, you got that in order to get married, that don't make no goddamn sense. But if you got that BBL aesthetic to get your back blown out more by men who could or could not even care about you, they damn sure don't want to get married to you, well, then mission accomplished there. It just depends on your particular goal. They have to separate out in their mind, am I doing this to get more eyes and validation or attention, or am I doing this in order to have a man take me seriously?
One, pointing the finger at Drake for supposedly getting this ab incisioning procedure done. And guess what? Who gives a
Turk?
His abs phenomenal now.
Who gives a Turk? Everyone that I know. I haven't spoken to anyone, trust me, everyone wants me to do this video. I haven't spoken to a single person that respects the abs he's got. He looks better before. To me, standing by the beach with those abdominals looking realistic, and he's actually, in my opinion, actually looking at it right now, I think he was leaner back then than he is now. And so you can't just let yourself go and get abdominal etching, implants, whatever, and think that you're going to look better. You look worse.
His abs look phenomenal now. Hence, that's why he was confident enough to post the selfie.
And so was he confident enough to post the six-pack, or too delusional to understand that he's going to get a lot of hate? Sometimes people are either narcissistic or just morons, and they don't realize that what they're going to do if they post that and talk about it is actually get hate. And perhaps he wants the hate. And so perhaps he's just so high up. I don't care. I'm going to show my abdominals knowing everyone's going to make fun of me. And because I'm Drake,
who cares?
I don't care.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, well, good for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't get impacted by the opinions of sheep because, well, he's a wolf. Well, if that's the case, bravo. But I'm going to suggest to the rest of you that you don't copy this, that if you think that you can just get these surgeries and get the abs of your dreams, it's going to end up being a nightmare. Why not just put in the work? I mean, if you really want those abdominals, and hey, maybe it's too hard. Maybe watching Coach Greg videos and getting my cookbook, it's just too friggin' hard.
Shout out to the ad.
Maybe doing 150 minutes of cardio, it's not something that you can do. You understand I have GLP Max, an oral version of the injectables that can reduce your appetite by about 28%. You go from an 8 out of 10 hungry to a 6 out of 10. That makes it.
Listen, I need some type of damn product like this, Coach Greg. Yeah, the ad readers and pack up on my guy. Anyway, let me also say this as well, is that I think that I get it and or understand it more if, you know, you have some type of abnormality, right? You were born with like abs that were like shifted and you want to get some surgery done to get them kind of like more symmetrical, right? But it's like crazy. It's like the more that I look at this photo of his abs, and Coach Greg called out that there's essentially like a hole in this area right here, the more that now I just cannot unsee it. And it's a damn shame because no matter the amount of fame that Drake attains, you could tell that he's the type of brother that, you know, wants to be appreciated. And could it be that there's not enough people holding him to a standard around him, or he's allowed to like live in this kind of delusion where everyone around him is talking about how dope that it looks, and they're unwilling to say anything against his ego to make him feel bad because they still want to retain some type of position around him. The funny thing about abs, I guess, in comparison to women getting BBLs, is that the majority of BBLs that people see is with clothing on. So the clothing sort of hides the imperfections that were created with the surgery. Whereas opposed to abs, you can't really see people's abs, even if they have natural abs, with shirts on. So it's like you have to show you without the shirt on, and then you can see all of the odd imperfections within that. But really, on top of this, the real issue that I have with this is him, acting like or writing a description as if this was naturally achieved, which it obviously was not.
That makes the diet a lot easier. But if you really want to, you could opt to get peptides. That is something that is a viable option for many. Remember, don't break the law, but if it's going to help you reduce your appetite and get you to go to the gym, train hard, stick to your diet, then, well, I'm all for it. One thing I don't like is when you post the photo of the six-pack, he clearly wants you to focus on the abs. He's covering his face. What is up with men that cover their faces? It's bad enough when women do this. Guys, I gotta level with you. When you show a selfie with the phone covering your face, this is pathetic. I don't know why you would do this. And so that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing is, why are we bragging about all this alcohol? Is he saying, hey, guys, look, I drink poison all the time. And you realize that alcohol is a poison, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a class 1 carcinogenic. And so if you drink alcohol, it's like drinking poison. It can cause cancer. And so if you want that, well, that's fine. It's on you. You have a right to smoke cigarettes and to drink alcohol and so on. But is he bragging? Look at all the alcohol that I'm drinking. Hey, this is my life. And yet I still have abdominals. Is that really the message that we're going for? In comparison, if he were in the gym and said, look, and he showed a photo of his abs and said, I've locked in for the last 3 months. Maybe he's on Ozempic. Perhaps he's on GLP, or perhaps he's on Turk Builder Max. Which person would you have more respect for? He's showing us his body. He's saying, look, I'm putting in the work, and here are the results. Got the leaner arms, the chest, and so on. In comparison, hey guys, snap. I just got a BBL tummy tuck mommy makeover, and now you can see my abdominals. Which is the greater message? Which has the greater impact? I'm certainly thinking that most people would rather see you work out and show off the hard work because of your hard work. That's why you have abs, than saying, hey, this is a result of surgeries. And notice, he doesn't say he got surgery. I mean, if he says, I had a BBL, I got a tummy tuck, a mommy makeover, whatever you want to call this ab etching thing, whatever you want to call that, he admits that he got it and he posts it. Then I got to say, well, at least he's being honest, 100% honest, open, and transparent. And so you'd have to at least respect him for that. But I don't see him mentioning this here. I see him bragging about the abdominals, which look moronic, which look stupid. And I don't see him admitting how he got it. Would this not be equivalent to somebody who doesn't go to the gym, injects himself with a bunch of synthol, hyaluronic acid, has all the fake body parts, you know what I mean, the oil body parts, and says, look at me. Where is the brag? How is that a flex? Drake mercilessly roasted for fake six-pack abs, arms, and chest sold separately. Exactly.
And the other way to get around it is that they'll be like, hey, listen, I don't have implants. Meanwhile, the actual procedure had nothing to do with implants. Maybe it just had to do with, sucking fat out. But they'll utilize the phrasing of it in different ways in order to obfuscate the real point, which is this natural or is this not? Actually, Oscar De La Hoya did pretty much the same thing. Here goes a picture of the young scholar right here. Now, even when he was professionally fighting, his abs weren't etched like this. Now, at first, he was saying, no, I didn't get an implants, and he left it as is. But after being pressured all over social media, he essentially said that he got help from a doctor. And it goes on to read, he said, they are real, they are my abs. What I did was I got a little bit of help from a doctor. It's called liposculpting something. I don't know. They actually go in with a tiny needle and it sucks up the fat in between your abs. So what happens is they just pop. I've always had abs. I worked out every day, so my body fat is low. But when you do the sculpting of the abs, they pop out like there's no tomorrow. Everybody thinks that they're fake. It's not possible. First of all, I have to fake abs. But if you etch them, they pop out like there's no tomorrow. So guys, at this point of the content, I push the question onto my audience. What is it that you think about all of this? All right. Would you want to get some ab sketching into the future? And listen, when I think about like body modifications, right, there's a couple of things that we can do, little to nothing to change it, right? You start losing your hair, well, then now you can go over to Turkey or some shit and go get a hair transplant. But that's something that you can't change otherwise. I think that doing that is still something that men should not be challenged on. But I pose the question off to you. Would you guys be okay with a new potential culture of men seeking implants or sketching of their body in order to try to have it appear to be enhanced? I gave you guys my thoughts on it, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment box down below. Shout out to Coach Greg for providing his thoughts within the content. Link to his channel down in the description box down below. And last but not least, I see you guys soon. BBL Drizzy.
These BBLs killing y'all.
And their thighs don't match. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
She belongs to the street.
Girl, don't hold my hand. You a mattress actress on the OnlyFans. Get your money, girl, but damn, how is that your only plan? What you gonna do when you get too old to strip and dance? Get up out your echo chamber screaming period and yes. You a low down dirty woman if you try to get knocked up by a high value man.